Hey, welcome. Welcome to our show here tonight. Welcome to We'll Sing and We'll Shout. I am your host, Steve Hansen, and I've got Cheryl here on with us for segment. Is this 15?
I think it might be 15, yeah.
Yeah, segment 15 of Cheryl's Boyfriends. So we are moving right along. We've only got 35 to go, but I think you discovered that there were actually a few extras. So we're up, we're up around 53 or 54.
Mhm.
Um, I had such a hard time when I was young keeping up with you, and
Mhm.
it wasn't like even a race. Yeah, I was not even in your dust. I was just like laps behind you. So, but anyway, I got my green shirt on today and to kind of celebrate Grandpa. Did you know that his favorite color was green?
It was my favorite color when I was a girl.
And I think maybe it was Grandma that told me this. I don't think I actually asked Grandpa, but she said the reason his favorite color is green is because he loves green fields, whether it's a
Aw.
green field of corn or a green field of hay or whatever. He loves green, so that's why
Well,
his
that's
cars.
interesting because today we took a drive between here and Delaware. Apparently, there's a little dive bar up in Waldo, which is between Delaware and Marion, that had the best bologna sandwich ever. So I'm like, well, I got to try that. So me and Martin drove all the way up there today to get a bologna sandwich. But on the way, I was looking at the fields, and this time of year, I love it when the corn comes up, but it's just like an inch tall, and you can barely even see it in the field.
Right.
I call it I
Yeah.
call it my little tiny corn. And Martin was laughing at me because I'm like my little tiny I called it corns and it irritated him. He doesn't
Right.
like when I say shrimps either.
Shrimps and
So
corns, huh?
yep. So I said, look, my little tiny corns. And every year I say that. And then like within a week they're up to your knee. But
Well, it
yeah,
seems
it
like
takes
that.
a little
Not quite,
longer than that.
not quite that way, but it seems that way. Yeah.
But I totally
Yeah.
agree with Grandpa. I love the looking out over the fields of corn or soybeans or whatever. Wheat is my favorite. I love the wheat fields. And the other
Yeah.
day we were driving to Bellevue and they were waving in the breeze and it looks like waves on the ocean. They're just so beautiful. So
It was neat growing up and on a farm away from the road in the middle of fields, and especially when they had corn all around you, and then
it,
you felt like you were
you were
literally
so
in your own
isolated.
in your own little gray haven,
Yeah, we were like in an island of
Yeah,
corn.
it
But
was.
my favorite was like looking out the kitchen window when I would do the dishes, and every year dad would plant something different. So some years there'd be wheat out the window, some years there'd be soybeans, and some years there would be corn.
Yeah.
And I remember one time the cows got out and they were out in the soybean field, and I could have swore the soybeans probably went up to your knee just by looking at them. When I got out in that soybean field and tried to start catching those cows, those soybeans were up to my hip. They were a lot
uh,
taller than I thought they were.
oh yeah, yeah, those things get 3 4 feet tall. Yeah, they
Yeah.
do, for
I was
sure.
sup- I was surprised
Especially,
because when you just look at a field of soybeans, you think they're like a couple feet tall, maybe. But
yeah,
when you get out into them, they're like, "Whoa, these
yeah,
soybeans, they're attacking me."
when they're fully grown, I mean 4 feet might be a stretch, but they're a solid 3 feet.
Yeah,
um But if you remember, all of Grandpa's cars were green.
green.
Like he had the 72 olds, then he had the 74 olds, then he had the was it an 80 Buick? I don't know, but it was the 80 Buick
Hey,
with the
tell me what
diesel.
the old farm pickup truck was. Like I remember it being like an aqua color, kind of.
It was it was like a turquoise.
Yeah,
That was a common color back in that day, and it was like a turquoise and white.
I've been trying to
Um,
tell Martin like what kind of truck. Do you know whether it was a Chevy or a Ford or?
oh, Cheryl, please. It was a Chevy. We didn't allow Fords on that farm. Thank you. Um,
Well, it's funny because I found a Chevy truck online and it was a 1965, 66, somewhere in there. Because I remember
okay.
Grandpa taking me back and forth to kindergarten in that truck.
Oh
So I
yeah.
know we had it when I was a little girl. And I was
Yeah.
trying to, Martin loves these old trucks. And I was like, I'm trying to remember what our old farm truck looked like. And I'm going to send you a picture of the one that I think it was and
Well,
see
and
if you,
when you say aqua, you actually might be closer than the turquoise.
yeah,
I think you're actually right there. It was more of an aqua than even a turquoise.
yep.
Um,
Because it wasn't so dark. It was more of a greenish blue, like almost like that. It wasn't seafoam green. It was bluer than that. But
so I'm looking at 65 Chevys, and I would agree. It was right in that 65, 66. It would have been right in there. And he
yeah.
had Great Haven Farm painted on the side, and of course it smelled like the barn when you sat inside of there.
Oh, it
Um,
did. And it had that
yeah.
huge stick coming up out of the ground that you would use to shift.
Oh yeah, yeah, stick shift. Yeah. It
Yep.
had
Just a ginormous one, though.
It had 4 on the floor. Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, I spent my time driving that truck.
Martin would give
Um,
anything to have a truck like
I
that.
can't remember. Obviously, at some point it just died.
And then we
And
had
they had
another like newer pickup, right?
well, that's when we moved to that dark green truck. That's the one that ended up getting ran into the tree.
Yeah.
So
But I love that old
so
one.
yeah, yeah. I think you're right. It's right. If it's not a 65, it's right there near there.
Well,
So
that kind of made sense to me because I was there in 69. You and I were both there in 69,
yeah,
and the truck was looking kind of older by that point. Like it looked pretty beat up. So it had to have been like a 65. That just makes sense to me.
right. Yep.
But anyway,
But
well, I
there are some out
digress.
there. So maybe someday we're gonna have to buy ourselves. We'll find
An
the
old,
exact one. Like I'll recognize it when I see it.
yeah.
Um, but we'll find the exact one and we'll buy one of those trucks when we end up getting the farm back. So you'll have something to drive
When I
around.
saw that pickup truck, that 65, and it was like that aqua color, I was like, I'm pretty sure that's our farm truck. Really
Right.
close. Yep.
Yeah.
And
Now,
it was
if
a
you'll
Chevy. It wasn't a Ford.
now I say Grandpa had green cars and he did, but when we first went to the farm there, they had that charcoal colored was that a Buick?
They
They had
like
that
Buicks. I know Dad liked Buicks and Grandpa liked Buicks.
charcoal colored Buick. But then he went to the green 72 olds and then he had 2 more green cars. And then I don't really remember in later years what cars they had
Is it
because I
Grandpa's
wasn't
birthday or something?
today?
Yeah. Oh, I
No.
was just wondering why you wore green to honor him.
I don't know because it's spring and
Yeah.
I probably have 50 button-up shirts in my closet. And I look like what shirt am I going to wear tonight? I don't want to wear something that I've worn before because I don't want to look
Right.
like I'm wearing the same shirt. But I end up doing that anyway. I think recently here I wore the same shirt like within 2 or 3 weeks I wore it 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm trying to be if I'm going to be this online person, I
Right.
can't be wearing the same clothes all the time, Cheryl.
Well,
That's
because then people can tell one episode from another. Like, oh,
right,
that's the
right,
night Steve was wearing the green shirt.
right.
Right.
So yeah, I've got to shape up and anyway, do something different with the hair or whatever.
So were you out at
Um,
the gym? Is that why you had to get cleaned up?
we're pouring concrete tomorrow morning, 6 yards of concrete up the street here at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. So I was up there doing some final preparation, final compacting on that, and I will be back up there at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning to make sure that we're ready for our 7 a.m. pour. So,
Nice.
um, and I've got a lot of good things are popping here. A lot of good things are happening. It's getting really busy for me, and I'm happy about that. But it's just a lot to keep up with. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, good
Here
stuff.
we are doing the important message of talking about my silly boyfriends.
Yes, yeah. Segment 15. Um, Cheryl, of all the time we spent there in Bellevue and on the farm and whatnot, outside of attending church and partaking of the sacrament each week and getting baptized and going to the temple, I'm going to tell you the most important thing that happened in those 10 years is that time we spent in the basement of that red house there in Greenwood Heights putting together that family history
Yeah.
and the work that mom did in gathering those stories. That information and those stories are far more important and far more valuable than any crops that came out of the fields or even any cows that walk through the barn, as much as I love my cows.
Right.
And I'm going to tell you, I feel the same way about what we're doing here. As important it is for me to pour my concrete and whatever else, build my decks and whatever else I'm doing, I feel like what we're doing here is of far more importance. So I really appreciate you participating and joining this because I really believe in what we're doing here, and I hope that we can get others on board as things move along. So, but yeah, without further ado, please tell us about the amazing Dobie Hay. And I would say, I wouldn't sit here and try to rank your boyfriends, but for me, Dobie was certainly right up there, in the top 5. So
I totally agree.
yeah,
A darling man. It's so funny because I'm looking at my list here because I actually made a list so that I can keep track and
yeah,
by the years and stuff. And I have these random just boyfriends that were maybe like a state fair boyfriend, Dennis from the state fair, and then this Shelley Irvine, and I also met him at the state fair. and Brad Postema. I met him at a Norwalk Strawberry Festival. And
I
there's just,
I remember that name. I don't know that I remember the guy, but when you say that name, it's like, okay, that name.
I
Yeah.
do have a funny story about him. I mean, just,
So
I
he's
told
not
Alice,
even, he didn't even make the official list, huh?
well, I think they're on the list. It's just a
Oh,
matter of, do I have enough information to even make them like a spotlight? But what I'm thinking about, what I might do is just take, like, I've done this in the past, just take like maybe two names and talk about two guys in one night.
yeah.
But Dobie certainly deserves his own episode.
Well,
So
you're often dating two or three guys at a time, so you may as well throw them in the same episode.
shh, you're not supposed to tell anybody.
That's
I
common
wasn't
knowledge.
married. I wasn't married yet.
That's common knowledge at this point. So,
There wasn't a ring on it.
yeah, right, there wasn't a ring on it, and all you were doing is a little kissing, or
That's right.
nothing too serious. So,
Just a little flirting.
just yeah. So anyway, all right, Dobie Hay.
All right. So Dobie Hay. So this was the summer between my 11th and 12th grade year, which is why I was kind of thinking about all these other guys, because I actually went to the State Fair Youth Choir that summer. And I did date a couple guys at the youth choir. And then I told you Pat Waldock came and saw me while I was at the youth choir. So, oh my gosh, what is wrong with me? I just like laugh at myself. But
Can I
okay.
make you laugh about something here real quick?
Yeah.
So you see these two stickers? These are
Yeah.
fruit stickers that are on my wallet here. I'm going to put these in my journal. I have this real issue with stickers. Anytime I see a little sticker like this, I want to take it and save it and put it in my journal, even if it's off a piece of fruit or whatever it is. I have this little sticker thing where you just don't throw stickers away.
Uh-huh.
And you know where that comes from?
From my door.
It comes from your door.
Yep.
When we were kids, you had this amazing sticker collection on your door, and my door was pathetic. And I've always had the greatest respect for stickers. And you don't just take a sticker and throw it away. Like that is valuable. It's like finding a quarter.
Right.
And so you save it. And what I do with them is I don't stick them in my door. How do you wouldn't like that?
No.
So I stick them in my journal. And so all my journals, as you go through the years, they'll have all these different stickers from all sorts of
I
places.
kind of like it.
And a lot of them will be fruit stickers.
I like
So-
that when you vote and they give you the little sticker that says I voted.
That goes right in my journal.
Yep.
Yep.
I think those are really, that's kind of fun. I mean, it's like getting a little prize in kindergarten or something, Look, I voted.
Yeah. That's how I feel about it. And my kids, they just threw these away. And I'm like, guys, that's a
What is
sticker.
wrong with you?
What are you doing?
That is pretty funny.
And I
I
just
think
I'm
I
stupid.
do have a photo of the back of that door
Yeah.
somewhere. But yeah, I remember I had one kind of like a bumper sticker kind of across the center, and I don't remember even what it said. It was red, white, and blue. So maybe it was something about the bicentennial or something. But I had that right across the center, kind of cattywampus. And then I had all the other stickers. I mean, I must have had 100 stickers on my door at least, but I had them all kind of arranged around it in an artistic way.
Yeah,
But-
and yours was very artistic and very balanced or whatever. Mine, as I was trying to keep up with you, I would just have all sorts of, and mine were just like all over the place. It looked awful, whatever. I think one time Grandpa came up there, and obviously this was his home. He grew up here, and for
Right.
us to have plastered these stickers all over these bedroom doors, I don't think he was
He was-
overly thrilled with it.
No, he was probably appalled.
But and then the other one is I was putting stickers on that armoire that I told you that
Oh,
that,
no.
when the parents died, his sister and some of their kids came over and took that armoire out of the farmhouse when
Right.
Art and May were not home. And when Art realized what had happened, he made him bring it back.
Right.
And that was the armoire that I grew up with. I never knew that story then,
Yeah.
but now I'm sticking stickers
Stickers
on this
onto it.
treasured
think-
armoire.
It was kind of
So-
junky by the time you inherited
Well,
it.
Yeah.
yeah.
But back in the day, that was a piece.
It
So
was a pretty, when I think back on it, it was a pretty piece of furniture. I mean, it had the mirrors on either side and it had drawers down the center, I think.
it
and maybe-
did, and then it had a bigger door at the top that also had a mirror.
Yeah,
on
yeah,
it.
yeah. And then
And then
there
it had
was
a-
doors on either side for hanging clothes, for long hanging clothes.
Yeah, and then it
Yeah,
had
it
one
was a
big
neat one.
door, one big door across the bottom. So
Yeah.
But I was
All
putting
right.
stickers on that too, and I don't think he didn't really say anything, but I don't think he was overly thrilled with what Mom and Dad's kids had going on in the farmhouse. So
What Barbara and Bob permitted.
yes,
Like,
something
what's
like
wrong
that.
with them?
Yes. So, all right, Dobie, hey.
All right. So between my 11th and 12th grade year, I went to, this was when I ran for Cherry Queen and I got first runner up. So even though I got first runner up, we went to all sorts of festivals. Me and the other girls that got second and third runner up and the queen, we would go to different festivals. And because I was first runner up, whenever Karen couldn't go to something, they would send me. So
Mhm.
like there was this really neat opportunity I had to go on a steam train that went between Bellevue and somewhere over near Akron or something. And I had this cute old couple that went with me as my chaperones. And of course, I had my white dress on, and we're on this steam train that where coal is kind of spewing out. So I'm getting like coal spots all over my beautiful white dress.
Right.
But I went to Orville. I still have this
Oh,
little, I still have this little like iron, and it's cast iron, and I have it right in my other room that I got in Orville when I went on the steam train. So that was really cool. But so anyway, so I did the Cherry Festival that summer. So I was really busy with that. And then I got into All Ohio State Fair Youth Choir, which we went early August and we were there for about 3 weeks. Just before I went to All Ohio State Fair Youth Choir, so this would be early August, maybe even late July, I started getting these random phone calls from some guy, and he would call and just chat me up, but he wouldn't tell me who he was. And he's like, "Oh, I'll tell you sometime." All right, whatever. So, maybe a week later he'd call back and he'd chat with me, and I'd say, "Well, I'm going down to the state fair, so I won't even be back." And I was trying to get out of him if he was even from Bellevue. Just some random dude that was calling me. So, I probably got 3 or 4 phone calls from this guy over the summer. And then I went to the
wow.
state fair, and then when I came back from the state fair, he called me again, knowing school was starting. And so this time he said, and I said, "You really got to tell me who you are." And he said, "Well, do you know Ron Hay?" And of course I knew Ron. He was in my class, and his locker was right beside me. I was between Ron Hay and Martin Hahn. I mean, that the two of the
Right.
best guys in school in my locker. So I just had the best. And Ron would sit beside me in one of my classes. I don't remember which class it was, but we got to be really good friends. We just had a lot in common. And I said, "Yeah, but this isn't Ron." And he goes, "No, this is his brother Dobe." And I was like,
Dope.
"Okay, I don't know you, but okay." He goes, "I used to watch you carry Ron's books to class because Ron had gotten a football injury or something and he was on crutches for a while. And so, because our lockers were right beside each other, I would carry his books for him because he had to use the crutches."
Right.
So, Dobie started to pay attention to me when he would see me go by in the hall carrying Ron's books, and he thought I was cute. So,
So he called you a number of times and didn't tell you who it was.
three or
He
four
was
times. Yes.
that's like I've never tried that approach. That's interesting.
Yeah.
At this point in life, I probably won't be trying that
It would
approach,
probably
but
just be creepy. You'd just get like, because
yeah.
everybody can tell like who's calling who, you'd just get arrested or something. Back then, you didn't know who was calling. For any
Right.
of young people who are listening, there was no caller ID on your phone. You had
Right.
no, you couldn't even hang up and dial whatever that was, *57 or whatever
But
it was for a while there.
but back in the day, there weren't spam calls to speak of.
No, you didn't really get spam calls.
Maybe occasional thing like that, but for the most part, no. They weren't
Yeah.
6 times a day. Let's put it that way.
And I think by that time we were not on a party line anymore. I think we had our own line.
Right.
Because for a while there was like the Swartzes and the Harveys, and we were on the party line with half the block.
Right.
But so Job wasn't interrupting, Mrs. Harvey when he called her anything. So he said he was named Dobie, and I was like, "Okay, that's nice." And then he like said, "Would you go to the freshman football game with me?" And his brother Denny was in freshman football, and it was on a Saturday instead of a Friday. And he told me he was going to be playing football in the fall. And of course, I enjoyed football and like watching it. So I was like, "Well, that's cool." And so he said, "Would you go to this Saturday morning football game to see Denny's game?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, I'll go." So he came and picked me up, and we went off to the game. And I thought he was friendly and fun and kind of cute. I don't know that I was any more impressed than that, but we had a good time at the game.
You
And
you were a tough one to impress. Yeah.
I know, right? He wasn't Ron, and I guess I was expecting him to be more like Ron. And Dope's
Right.
just not Ron. He just isn't.
Right.
And so when he took me home, he went down the lane at about 5 miles an hour. I mean, I think I could have gotten out and walked faster. So he's just creeping down the lane. And I'm like, what are you doing? He goes,
Cheryl,
I want to,
I think I was there, and I remember that.
yeah, like, does he need the tractor to come pull him out or, you know
Yeah,
what? And
yeah.
I said, what are you doing? He goes, I just want to spend more time with you, you know? And that just like warmed my heart so much. I was like, well, that's the cutest thing ever. And so we went down the lane at like 5 miles an hour. Probably took
Right,
15 minutes to get down the lane. And so he dropped me off. And then, you know, I just like, well, I'll see you at school tomorrow or whatever.
right.
And so just gradually, that kid won my heart. And I dated him my whole senior year. We went to homecoming together. I have pictures of us at the homecoming dance. And I started going over to the Hayes house and hanging out because Shirley Hay had to okay all the guys' boyfriends. There's no way you're going to get around Shirley.
Really?
Uh,
Okay.
Big Italian woman,
Right.
and she wasn't very nice to me at first.
Ah,
So I think because I was a year older than Dobe, you know, she thought maybe
right.
I was.
You're taking advantage of them.
All of a sudden something went off.
Yeah, but then you jumped right back on. So here you
Yeah.
are. You're good.
Okay. So Shirley, I had to. So Dope took me home from school one time, and we hung out at his house. And Shirley even told me, "I'm not so sure I like you dating my son. You're a year older, and you know what are you gonna do? You're gonna."
Okay, so what did she think when Tamara started dating Denny?
She was really not thrilled about that one because it was all that all happened about the same time. We all
Yeah,
started dating,
yeah,
and Ron was dating Lisa DeBlas, and
right.
Pork was dating
The
who
Polk.
was Jeff. He was dating Gary Pollock's sister, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, Lisa Pollock, right?
Yep. And
Yeah,
then they had their cousin Kurt living with them,
right.
and Kurt was dating Janice Branco.
Oh,
So
wow. Yeah.
yeah. So
That's quite a
all
little
of
group.
us couples after a Friday night football game, we would all hang out in the Hayes basement. I mean, it was just a riot. So there was always something going on at the Hayes house. And so Shirley eventually, I think about the time homecoming rolled around, which was probably mid-October, Shirley started warming up to me. And, you know, I would come and sit at the table when they would have dinner and they would say the prayer, but they did this like this Catholic rote prayer that they all knew from heart.
Right.
And I would just sit there looking around like a totally like lost person and I couldn't keep up with them because they'd say it real fast. And so I was like, well, that was an interesting prayer, you know, so I kind of giggled about it.
Right.
But she knew I wasn't Catholic. But so I don't know. But I just really started enjoying hanging out with them and their family because they just had such a united family. And Grit was there, of course, which is their little sister Leslie.
Yep.
And I really took to her. She was probably about 10 or 11 at the time.
She's a Facebook friend, and I guess wouldn't say this. I've seen a lot recently, but she posts. You know, it seemed like she posts somewhat regularly. There was a while there where it seemed like it was real regular. I don't feel like I've seen much of her lately, so I don't know what's going on.
Yeah,
But
you know what? She posts pictures of her two cute daughters that she has. And I went into like a vegetable market in Fremont one time, and there was her daughter behind the counter at the vegetable market.
and
And
you
I said,
recognized her.
"Aren't?" Yeah, I said, "Aren't you like Leslie Hayes' daughter?" And she's like, "Yeah, that's me." And we chatted, and every time I'd go in there, we'd have a chat about, you know, the Hayes or Dobie or somebody. And so
Right.
she was a real cute girl. But um, so we dated that fall, and we went into Christmas, and we continued to date, and all the way, you know, we would meet before school in the cafeteria and usually play cards like euchre. You know, there was a group of us that would hang out before school. I know there were at least four of us because we played euchre.
Right.
Um, and then when I moved into town with mom and lived um, kind of up where Butch and Roberta Pellis lived, that's where I lived with mom. Do you remember that?
You see that?
Yeah.
That was the color of the truck.
Nice. Yeah.
It's called teal. Um,
Okay.
this is a 1957 Olds '88
Uh huh.
Rocket. If I buy this, will you go down to Virginia Beach and get it and drive it out here for me?
I don't
Anyway,
know. I'd have to ask Martin.
I would
But
love to have a '57 Olds.
the teal
But
was a little faded by the time, you
yeah,
know, at least by the time we were in high school it was.
yeah.
So it looked lighter to me. But so anyway, so Dope and I dated through football season, I guess you'd call it. And then With the Hayes, everything revolved around sports and then Christmas. And then I moved
Well, I
into
started
town.
because you were dating Dobie. I hung out with Denny like that entire fall,
Yeah.
and into the winter. Obviously, I was hanging
And
out
you
with them
guys
at
would play
Christmas,
basketball out in the barn.
and we would play basketball in the barn, and I would just whoop on those guys. Yeah.
And then Dobe would come in and lay on me all sweaty, which just was so disgusting. I'd be in the couch downstairs chatting with the girls, and he'd come in that back door there of their
Right.
basement and
Right.
just come in and just like flop on me all disgusting and sweaty. And he thought it was so funny.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah. Real
gosh.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Dope. So we got all the way through Christmas and then we dated in the spring. So we just kind of had this little routine, that through the school day he would pick me up at my classes and walk me to my next class or whatever. It was just kind of very 50s, very 50ish kind of girlfriend boyfriend thing.
Right.
And it was just nice to have a boyfriend that was just a steady boyfriend. He was just always
Yeah.
there.
He was a little swept up in you. Yes, he was. So,
Yeah, but just
and you
such a
did kind of
dear.
wonder. I mean, I kind of wondered um, if this was going to be it, like if you were going to
Hey, friend.
if you were going to ride this one out,
Yeah.
but it didn't work out that way. So,
Well, we got to spring and we went to prom together. And as the school year kind of came to a close and he knew I was heading off to college, he and I kind of made a mutual decision to break up. And it wasn't because we didn't like each other. It was because he was Catholic and he was going to stay Catholic, and I was Mormon and I wasn't switching. And so, in order to marry Catholic, you have to become Catholic. And in order to marry a Mormon, it's usually beneficial if
yeah,
you're a Mormon. So,
yeah. I don't know
we,
that those are hard and fast rules either way, but if you're committed to your religion, they are. So,
yeah, and
yeah,
and so we just made the joint decision that we weren't going to get married, even though we really loved each other and probably could have made a marriage work. Um, so it was nice because it ended on good terms. And throughout the summer, we really had a hard time kind of staying away from each other, really. But so, I might see him occasionally throughout the summer, but that's probably when some of these other guys popped up, like that Brad Postema and stuff. I think me and Kathy Deppen went to the Norwalk Strawberry Festival, and I think that's when that guy kind of popped up. And then because of the Cherry Festival, I ended up dating that Marine. That was my um he was
well,
he was my attendant guy, whatever you call it.
are you talking about Jim, the older guy,
Yeah.
the guy that was married? I mean, I didn't know that he I don't know what was going on in his head.
Don't even bring that up. I think that
Well, he
actually
was
was, yeah, that was after my senior year. Yeah, because
where was she from? She was from somewhere in Asia or something, and it was more or less
it,
she married
well, it
him
was
just
he
to get
was
in the
at
country.
Vietnam and she saved his life
Oh, okay.
and he married her.
Yeah.
And but when I talked to him, when he was talking to me, he said that he wasn't married, that they were divorced. And so that's
Oh,
when Sherry and I had like one of the best adventures of our lives. And we went over to Clyde because this gym guy had said he wasn't married, and he had one of those shaggin' wagons. So we knew we'd be able to find his house if we could just find that silly van. So
right.
Sherry and I decided we're going to go over and figure this out, whether this guy was married or not. So
Yeah.
we took off for Clyde, and as you come into Clyde, if you look to the left, there's a road that goes off diagonally to the left. And so
Right.
Sherry and I were like, well, there's the first road in Clyde. Let's take that. So we went to the left and we went up, and sure enough, 4 or 5 houses on the left, there's that shaggin' wagon sitting in somebody's driveway. And we
Sure, I
were
was
like,
over there. I probably didn't make that first trip, but I was over there with you one time.
yeah,
Like I could probably drive over there and find it today.
yeah.
Um,
So
yeah,
this first time was just me and Sherry.
yeah.
So we decided to park our car at a little chapel on the right. Down just a little bit further, there's a church on the right, and it had a nice parking lot. So we parked our car in there, and we decided to walk around the back side of his house. And so we started down the block and we kind of turned and we went, and he was kind of off of an alley. So we went and there were a bunch of bushes back behind his house, thank goodness. So we crouched down behind the bushes and we're looking over the hedge. I mean, you could just make like a comedy show out of me and Sherry that night. We were so funny. So we
Yeah.
still laugh about this. So we're looking over the hedge, and there he is sitting on his back stoop, and he smoked. So he's out there smoking, and it's like there's like a picnic table there and a little patio area with like a covering. And so Sherry and I are looking, and then this woman walks out, this Vietnamese woman, and she
Right.
sits at the table with him, and they're just chatting away. And I'm like, he's still married. That's his wife right there. He's
Right.
totally lying to me.
Right.
And so I don't know if he heard us giggling or what, but so Sherry and I got up because we realized that, the jig is up. And so we started walking back to the car. We were in the dark in an alley in Clyde. We're
Yep.
walking back to the car. And when we got out to the sidewalk there was much more lit, I said to Sherry, put your arm around me so we look like boyfriend and girlfriend. So Sherry puts her arm around me. And we get to the car, and we get in the car, and we kind of tear off, and we head out to the main drag in Clyde, and we pull into a gas station there, and who pulls in right beside us but Jim Persons? he, he knew that it was us, and he's like,
Right.
what are you guys doing? He wasn't
Right.
really mad. I think he was more amused than mad.
Right.
But, I called him on his nonsense. I'm like, you have a wife. Well, we're separated. We're not really together. I'm like, well, you live in the same house together.
Yeah.
So,
Oh man,
oh
what
my
a deal.
gosh, me and
Yeah.
Sherry, we thought we were going to get arrested that night for trespassing, but golly, that was like our best adventure ever. We were laughing so hard, especially on our way back to the car. And put your arm around me so he thinks we're boyfriend and girlfriend. That didn't really work,
Yeah.
but it was fun seeing Sherry and Mike the other day for their 40th anniversary. I'm telling you, that girl's she's more like a sister to me than anybody because
Right.
we grew up together and we've been together ever since. I love Monica and Natalie, but they're kind of like nieces to me because they're so much younger than me.
Yeah. Well, you were never really in the same home together, so
Monica was
yeah.
19 when I was 19 when she was born, and I was 25 when Natalie was born. So, and Natalie's much closer to Allison. They're only 2 years apart.
Now, by talking about Jim here, did we mess up the count? When you
Well, yeah,
just
that would probably be coming up soon, though, because it was
okay.
pretty much right after Dobie that I started dating Jim. So, but I can
Right.
talk about Jim next week. So, my conclusion on Dobie Hay, and his name is actually Dwayne Hay.
Right.
His mom called him Dobie because she liked that TV show, Dobie Gillis. But he drank a lot, and I didn't like that. He would go out with his friends on the weekends, and they had this big chant during the school day, 547, 547, because that
Right.
was the road that they used to go out to drink. It
Right.
was
Right. Yeah.
Logan
547. It
and
was
Bollenbacher. Michael
yeah.
Bollenbacher lived on 547. And they
Those
used to
guys.
chant that during the school day, and I knew that meant that they were going to go out and get hammered together.
Right.
And Dobie came home one time from a situation like that and just like laid in his bed and just vomited and just laid in the vomit all night. I mean,
Oh.
that kind of gross stuff. And so that was definitely a bone of contention between us. I didn't like when he would go and drink with his friends.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I can't imagine Mom Hay did either, but I don't know.
yeah, we had our ups and downs, but for the most part, it was just a really good year. He was a really good boyfriend to have my senior year. And I definitely don't regret dating him. And now I'm still friends with him and his wife. He married, well, what happened was I told you we kind of kept track of each other through that whole summer. And then in the fall, I went off to Idaho to college to what's now BYU, Idaho, and I would still call him on the phone occasionally, and
Hmm.
I'd go over to the man wearing center right there on Rick's college campus, and I'd go in, and they had some payphones. I must have called him collect. I can't imagine I sat there and put quarters in. So Shirley probably wasn't too happy with that phone bill either. But so Dobie and I would chat. And so I called him one time, and he goes, guess what? I got invited to the Sadie Hawkins dance. And I said, well, who invited you to the Sadie Hawkins dance? And he said, Debbie Davenport. And I was like, whoa, you are going up in the world because she was like the class valedictorian, beautiful, most beautiful girl in her class. And I'm like, well, what'd you say? I said, yes, of course. I'm not stupid. I said, Dobie, that's awesome. I'm so happy. And now that they've been married for, 40 years and have a passel full of children. And I just helped his youngest daughter, Dinah, buy a house in Milan. So as a realtor, I was able to help her find her first home. And I also helped Deb when her mom passed on. Her parents passed on. I was able to help her sell her parents' house in Bellevue there. So
Hey, look at this one that I just came across.
I love that picture so much. That one's so good.
Yeah.
I
What is-
figured out that is actually at that little house we were renting. I don't think it's the farm.
Huh.
I think this is at that little house we were renting because I think this is that birthday party where I went and ate all the frosting off the cake.
Okay.
So it's that house on 269, I think.
Yeah. Oh, what can I say the name? Reese, the Reeses lived.
Yeah.
Not Kenny's brother.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we
So,
rented it for a while because mom was in the hospital in Tiffin. And
right.
obviously she's not here in this picture. She's here. And
She looks really good there too.
she looks so good. She must have been out in the sun and she looks happy. But mom and dad were out there gardening and mom had prepared a birthday meal for me, which my birthday's August 16th. So kind of in the heat of summer. And she said she had a chocolate cake all made with a whole bunch of chocolate frosting on it, which would have been very tempting for 3-year-old Cheryl. So the whole family was out gardening and I told mom I needed to go in and go to the bathroom. So she's like, okay, go on in. You can do, you can handle that by yourself. So I went in and she said about 20 minutes later, she's like, boy, Cheryl's sure taking a long time in the bathroom. So she goes in the house and I'm up on the cupboard and I have eaten all the chocolate frosting off the cake. She must have been so mad at me because grandma and grandpa are coming over to celebrate. And I think
Right.
that's when I have that
Oh,
picture of me and Uncle Jimmy, maybe. I don't know. Anyway,
I'm sure they loved that. So,
oh, I'm sure they got a laugh out of it anyway.
yeah.
But so all the chocolate frosting was Cheryl had eaten it off the cake, so I got in trouble. But anyway,
Sure. I'm looking at the 1966 trucks and I want to tell you, I think based on what I remember, I think it's a 66 and not a 65.
okay. Well,
But
do you have a picture of it? I can look it up later.
yeah. So, well, hey, yeah, good guy. Dobie was a good guy and they were a good family
And he still is.
and
They're still a really great family. They have bees, they do honey, they live out on the road where Steve and I grew up, which I'm totally jealous about. Right down from Thompson School. So that's pretty
yeah,
interesting.
Deb gave me some honey when I was there last time
Yeah.
and she didn't even charge me for it. So that was nice.
Yeah, they're a really great family. So
All right. Let's see. Is tonight Monday night? Yeah, tomorrow's Tuesday. So Tuesday we will have some good things to share. And any closing comments here? Anything you wanna-
let me think. I'm trying to think
Nope.
if I can think of like one little funny thing to say about Dobie.
I mean, you guys spent so much time together. So as if you need to come back and revisit the Dobie story again because more things come to mind,
Yeah.
you can certainly do that. I know that when we come here and talk like this about this or that, then all of a sudden my mind is kind of spinning on that particular person or that topic, and all of a sudden a lot of other memories or ideas will come to life that I
Well, I
think it
know
just
Dobie was with me that night that Denny brought you home drunk, and I went out and slapped Denny. And
yeah.
Dobe didn't seem too bad about that. He thought it was kind of funny,
Yeah. Well, and as if Denny, a year
as
younger
if
than me,
Denny
is
was taking the drinks or
it
shoving
was
you.
somehow responsible for me, but he
Yes.
I mean he was the one who more or less led me into iniquity there, if you will. What is this sandwich going on here? It looks like, wasn't there some sandwich we used to eat when we were young which was like lettuce and mayonnaise and was
Tomato,
it
lettuce, and
pickles?
mayonnaise. That was mom's sandwich.
Tomato, lettuce, and mayonnaise. That's
Yep.
interesting. I mean,
Yep.
it sounds kind of good for you, but I don't know. Just throw a piece of
Or
turkey in
no,
there.
no, no. It was peanut butter.
Oh,
Peanut butter, lettuce, and mayonnaise. That was when we used to go to those picnics or go off to state conference or something. That's what
Right.
mom would pack for us to eat.
Yes. I haven't had one of those since, and I feel like I'm doing okay. I
Peanut
feel like
butter, lettuce, and mayonnaise. Where the heck did she come up with that? Probably some 50s magazine
and
about little
I
housewives should
mean,
be doing.
I don't think it tasted bad. I mean, when you're hungry, it was food, and as
Right.
long as the tomato and the lettuce was fresh, I think it was fine. But I wouldn't. I don't think I'd be pulling that baby out of the fridge and I think I want one of those tonight.
I missed that. I need that. You know what? I had a random sandwich at one of those food trucks. And I went up to the food truck because me and Martin had our Snow Princess right next door and I was hungry. So I went over there and he had fried bologna, which I love fried bologna. And one of the signs said fried bologna, peanut butter, and like a jalapeno jam. And I said, "Oh, that sounds terrible." And he goes, "Well, you try it. And if you don't like it, I'll replace it with a completely different sandwich." I'm like,
Okay.
"All right, fry me up one of those." So he did, and I went back to my trailer and I tried it. And dang it, if that wasn't one of the best sandwiches I've ever had,
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
crazy. It was so good. And every once in a while, I'll go to the store and get jalapeno jam and a big thick slab of bologna, and I'll make one for myself.
There you go. There
Yep.
you go. All right. Well, hey, I've got to run up to Draper and pick up a check tonight, a big deposit check for the project up there.
Nice.
So anyway,
All right. We'll
uh,
leave it at that for tonight.
yeah. So we'll catch up tomorrow night. You're welcome to join me tomorrow night if you want. If you got other things rocking, I can handle it.
Well, I do know I'm going to a rehearsal tomorrow night, but I'm not sure when I'm getting back. So,
Yeah. All right. Well, I
all right.
always enjoy having you on, so you're always welcome.
All right.
All right. Take care.
See you later.